Welcome to a meeting of your Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Representing District 1, Harry Cohen. Representing District 2, Ken Hagan. Representing District 3, Gwen Myers. Representing District 4, Stacy White. Representing District 5, Mariella Smith. Representing District 6, Pat Kemp. Representing District 7, Kimberly Overman. The County Administrator is Bonnie Wise. The County Attorney is Christine Beck. Time is set aside at the beginning of each meeting for citizens to speak on any issue, so we have time for everyone. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Today's meeting is brought to you with closed captioning by Hillsborough Television.
Good morning. Welcome to the Board of County Commission meeting on April 20th at 9 a.m. in the boardroom at the County Center. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we'll do a roll call.
Good morning, Commissioners. Overman?
Here.
Cohen?
Here.
Hagan?
Here.
Kemp?
Here.
Myers?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
White?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. And with that, I'd like to ask Commissioner White to offer us the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll ask that everyone please stand at this time for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, I pray that you will guide our this board, our staff, and our stakeholders as we make important decisions for this county this morning. I'd like to give thanks for the people and the causes that will be recognized this morning. And as always, I want to pray for our first responders and members of our armed forces, that you will guide them and keep them safe in each and every day. And I continue to pray for peace, and particularly for the people of Ukraine. I give these thanks and ask for these blessings in your heavenly name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner White. I truly appreciate that. And before we get started, I want to say, take a moment to recognize Jimmie B. Keel. Mr. Keel was an Army veteran and a social worker and pastor and a former beloved Hillsborough County employee. He began his career in Tampa in 1965 after the Civil Rights Act passed. As part of his job, he oversaw library services, and in 1988, he started the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial Scholarship Fund to help local students seek higher education. Mr. Keel spent 15 years at the Department of Hospital and Welfare Board, and in 1991, he was appointed as the first Black Assistant County Administrator, the second highest non-elected position in all of county government. His position included managing the 7 county departments that provided administrative support over 4,000 county employees, and in 1996, Hillsborough County condensed their departments, and Mr. Keel was appointed Assistant County Administrator of Human Services. In all of his responsibilities of overseeing number of divisions, social services, children's services, animal services, health and social services, aging services, medical examiner, cooperative extension services, transportation services for the sick and aged, and library services. That takes a lot of talent to run all of that. And Mr. Keel retired in 2001, and the Jimmie B. Keel Regional Library was named after him. He was honored by the library naming because of growing up in Jackson County, where he wasn't allowed to use the libraries due to segregation. Mr. Keel, who recently passed, leaves a beautiful legacy within not only the community, but his family, friends, and those impacted by his dedication to education and service. May those affected by his love find peace in knowing that Mr. Keel's spirit lives on for generations to come in his legacy here in Hillsborough County. And I want to thank you for taking the time to allow me to honor Mr. Keel and the wonderful service he serviced for Hillsborough County. And with that, I will recognize Commissioner White. This is a very special day for the Board of Commissioners, Nevada County Commissioners, and the people of Hillsborough County. And it's our pleasure to present the 6th Annual Theodore Roosevelt Hillsborough Forever Conservation Award. Commissioner White, will you tell us why this award is so important and recognize our outstanding recipient?
I certainly will, Madam Chair. Before I do so, I'm going to just go off script for a moment, though, and just say that one of the great things about this award is not only the recipient that gets recognized each and every year, but we get a lot of the members of our ELAP team here together, both at the committee level and the staff level here, to just highlight how important conservation is in Hillsborough County. And, you know, looking back at the great Jan Platt, she was really on the cutting edge to think about conservation in such a rapidly urbanizing county like Hillsborough County. And we're unique in the sense that we have such a strong conservation program here with well over 60,000 acres preserved, if I have the number right. But with that being said, again, Madam Chair, I do thank you. Good morning to everybody. In January 2017, the Board of County Commissioners unanimously approved the creation of the Theodore Roosevelt Hillsborough Forever Conservation Award to honor an individual or group dedicated to preserving the county's natural resources. The award is named in honor of the 26th President of the United States. Known as the nation's first conservationist president, Theodore Roosevelt placed more than 200 million acres under public protection and doubled the number of sites in the national park system. It is in this spirit of conservation of our most precious environmental resources that we present this award today. First, I want to thank members of the Jan K. Platt Environmental Lands Acquisition and Protection Program committees who reviewed the nominations and recommended the recipient. I believe we have a couple of members with us today, and I'd like to recognize them. They are Jan Smith, the chair of the ELAP General Committee, Sally Thompson, vice chair of the ELAP General Committee. I'd like to ask you to both stand. Do we have any other committee members here that I've missed? Okay. I'd like to ask both of you to stand and be recognized. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. And I'll go off script again and just tell the public that these are volunteer positions. These fine ladies have given so much in terms of their time and efforts for this great environmental lands program. Again, I do thank you for your service, and thank you to the other committee members as well. The work you do to protect the pristine areas of our county is helping us secure environmental gems that will endure for generations. I'd also like to recognize Cheryl Bowman, who nominated the winner of this year's award. Ms. Bowman, please stand. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause as well. Thank you. Ms. Bowman worked for Hillsborough County for more than 30 years and retired just this past June. She was on the original resource management team that reached out to the recipient and started applying prescribed fire to lands acquired through the ELAP program. And thank you for your service. I appreciate that. So at this time, I'm proud to announce that the recipient of the 2022 Theodore Roosevelt Hillsborough Forever Conservation Award is Michael Perry. And Mr. Perry, I'd like to ask you to join me at the podium at this time. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. A Florida native, Michael Perry has served on the front lines numerous times for the nation, state of Florida, and Hillsborough County. As a member of the Army's 101st Airborne Division in the 1960s, he fought in Vietnam and was wounded twice. He received several decorations, including the National Defense Service Medal, the Purple Heart, and the Distinguished Service Cross. Mr. Perry, on behalf of the entire board, I would like to thank you for your service. From 1970 until 2003, Mr. Perry enjoyed an exceptional career on another front line, this one with the Florida Forest Service. He began his service as a towerman dispatcher at the Valrico Tower facility and attended Ranger School in 1972. He achieved promotion to Forest Area Supervisor and was in charge of tower crews and lookouts, including Hamner Tower, now a Hillsborough County Park and historic landmark. Utilizing his experience, immense knowledge, and expertise, Mr. Perry was integral in developing Hillsborough County's prescribed fire program. The firefighters, land managers, and other experts who conduct prescribed burns, also called controlled fires, are unsung heroes. Mr. Perry is synonymous with this essential practice in Hillsborough County. Prescribed fire is a land management tool used to restore and maintain fire-dependent ecosystems, enhance forest health, improve wildlife habitat, and reduce the chances of dangerous, uncontrolled wildfire by decreasing hazardous fuels. Fire promotes healthy ecosystems by clearing out competing vegetation, cycling nutrients into the soil, stimulating growth and seed production of fire-dependent plants, and providing food for wildlife. Mr. Perry formalized the training of new prescribed fire managers by establishing the Interagency Prescribed Fire Training Academy at Upper Tampa Bay Park, where he trained staff and land managers in the early 1990s. He was an expert resource for the history of various sites, including past fires and known hazards. For example, Bomboyette Scrub Preserve and Upper Tampa Bay Park were not under fire management prior to county acquisition, and both had a strong wildfire history. Under Mr. Perry's guidance, county staff learned how to apply prescribed fires to these sites, including installing fire lanes. Mr. Perry led an estimated 200 prescribed burns and helped contain 200 to 300 wildfires in the region, which presented various challenges that included muck fires and drinking water well fields. Further, Mr. Perry was a passionate educator about these crucial and often misunderstood conservation efforts, routinely meeting with residents to promote and explain the benefits of prescribed fire and leading wildland fire training for volunteer fire departments. Mr. Perry's extraordinary skill set can be best described this way. He was as equally comfortable fighting wildfires as he was leading prescribed burns. This is an ability possessed by few people in these fields. In addition, he was generous with his time. Whether on the clock or off, he was always available for service. It was much more than a job, it was a calling. Mr. Perry retired from the Forest Service in 2003, but his advocacy for prescribed burns and his work in the field continue. He and his wife founded a private environmental lands management services company dedicated to protecting and preserving our natural resources. The company operated for 16 years, providing prescribed fire services at Lettuce Lake, Lithia Springs, Alderman's Ford, and other county sites. Mr. Perry, I think we can all agree that because of your dedication, there is no telling how many wildfires you helped to prevent. The countless prescribed burn signatures in the woods throughout Hillsborough represent your legacy, and many of these areas currently support endangered and threatened animal and plant species thanks to your tireless efforts. As a result, Hillsborough County residents enjoy increased security in their homes and businesses and enhanced natural resources. And the county was able to develop an active and effective land management program. Your service, dedication, and persistence embodies the spirit of the Theodore Roosevelt Hillsborough Forever Conservation Award. As part of this award, we have a picture of Cypress Creek Nature Preserve for you. We'll present that in just a moment when we do a photograph. A recent wildfire in this area was easily extinguished thanks to a prescribed fire conducted less than a year ago. Mr. Perry was instrumental in bringing prescribed fire to this preserve. In addition, a nice plaque is being made because of the supply chain issues that we're experiencing. We didn't have that ready for you today, but that will be delivered to you. And you will be awarded $2,000 to choose an enhancement project at a Hillsborough County nature area of your choice. And I'm going to go off script for just a moment and once again thank the late and great Gus Munich for his generous charitable contribution to the county that's made that $2,000 award possible each and every year for our citizens. And also, your name will be the sixth added to a perpetual plaque that hangs in County Center. I don't know whether or not we have his name on there yet, but just as soon as it's on there, I'd like for you to come by County Center and take a look at that. So thank you for all of your amazing work. And without further ado, Mr. Perry, I'm going to give you the podium and ask you to make a few remarks. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much to everybody that I've worked with throughout my career. He took the words right out of my mouth, what I thought I was going to say up here this morning. But I tried to, throughout my career, make sure that I demonstrated that I was concerned about the environment and I wanted to do what was right. I tried to do the best I could to help train and educate the folks that was in my sphere of influence to learn to do the job right. And like he said, when you do good quality prescribed burning, and I think that's what the county is doing today, because I don't see any evidence of a lot of wildfires in Hillsborough County anymore. Boy, it used to run us ragged when I was with the Forestry Service. But the team that we put together, and I can include all of the ELAP folks and all the different preserves and the parks as part of the team that we worked on. We went to these places that hadn't had fire in them for many, many years, and we began to do a program to reduce this fuel and roughage so that it could be managed and you wouldn't have these threats of serious wildfires threatening the community, the roads, the homes, et cetera, et cetera. So it's humbling to be up here today receiving this award, but I appreciate it, and I thank everybody on the commission for giving me this opportunity, and especially my friends from ELAB. My family was a big supporter of me throughout my career. Believe me, it was a constant job, but you know what they say about jobs. If you like what you do, it's not a job. You go do it and you enjoy it. You don't care what the hours are. You just do what you need to do. And I tried to do that. I worked with them to do it, and I think we were successful in our mission to set this stuff up and demonstrate what we can do with controlled burning in Hillsborough County as well as the rest of the state. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. Mr. Perry's service has made a lasting impact on our community, and we are so proud to honor him today. He truly exemplifies dedication to preserving the county's natural resources. Madam Chair, I'd like to see if any of my fellow commissioners would like to speak at this time.
I don't see anybody in the queue, but I will say I can't thank you enough for your service. You have not only made sure that our ELAP lands are so well cared for, that we are the shining county in the state in terms of management, but also the work that you've done to help many other individuals get passionate about conservation and good care, but also the families that are impacted by wildfires in other counties. We've been saved from that because of the legacy that you've left in the county and the people that are passionate about the work that you've done for us. So thank you so very, very much. I do see that Commissioner Kemp would like to make a comment, and then we'll do a photo together.
It's just one of the most special times of the year, I think, when we do the Theodore Roosevelt Award, and it's a real honor to have you here and for your work and your career and everything that you've done for the community in every facet of your life. We'll extend our thank you, and we're really proud of a county. When I think, too, about the ELAP lands, I understand that we have, in this county, the biggest local county commitment to ELAP and the acreage of any county in the whole southeast. And that's a legacy for us to be proud of and to protect, and thank you for your work in that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I see Commissioner Smith.
Yes, and Commissioner White, you did such a fine job of talking about the history of this award, and even our mutual friend Gus Munich's contribution to it, as well as our ELAP committee members, that there's little left to say, except to thank you very much, Mr. Keel, for your contribution. I've had a long history as a citizen volunteering with the ELAP committee myself before I got to this position. And I know that the ELAP employees and staff share your view that it's not a job, it's a calling, and it doesn't matter. They are not punching a clock. They are acting from their heart. But I know, too, that's because of your leadership in your role for all those years, that you've left not only a legacy of leaving us safer from wildfires, but a legacy within the department of that commitment in the employees behind you that have followed in your footsteps. And so I thank you for that, as well as reaching out and teaching our community. That piece of your career is so important as well, to be teaching people about, as you put it, Commissioner White, this often misunderstood but essential piece of restoration and conservation of our natural habitats is controlled burns. And so for your willingness to teach the public about that, so that they understand what we're doing and why, I also thank you for that. Thank you very much for your whole career. And I'm also thank my old friend Cheryl Bowman for nominating you, because it's just perfect, and I'm really glad to be able to see this done for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other comments in the queue, we'd like to make sure we have a group photo with you.
Yeah, yes, Madam Chair, and I'd like to invite our friends in the audience to come up and join in on this with us. So here's this photograph that I told you about.
Yes,
you
sir.
will be receiving a plaque eventually, so we can hold that up in the photo, and we probably want to come right back here in front of the board.
All right.
And we'll wait for some further instructions from the photography expert. That's okay, he can pan out with a bunch of us. Maybe a few on this side for balance. There we go.
I'm going to do one real quick.
I guess I'll hold this like this so everybody can see it.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, I understand you are friends, so maybe. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Congratulations. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we'll get the rest of the picture. Yeah, I'll let Jan fill you in. Yeah, it's good to see you.
Congratulations.
What you did to help me get to this point.
Yeah, well, we're delighted that you were here.
No, we'll never be done with you, Mr. Perry. Sorry, you're not going to leave. Thank you, Commissioner White, and congratulations again to Mr. Perry, and thank you for your exemplary services. This concludes the 2022 Theodore Roosevelt Hillsborough Forever Conservation Awards ceremony. And with that, we'll move on to our special recognitions and the presentations of those. We have two presentations today. The first will be presented by Commissioner Cohen. Commissioner Cohen, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and excuse me while I turn to face the audience. Carrie Thatcher and Jeff Chernoff and Kara Bernstein Chernoff are with us today, and if you would like to come up and join me here at the podium, I'm going to make some remarks and present a proclamation related to Infertility Awareness Week. So good morning, everyone, and welcome. Good morning. This recognition addresses a concern that affects many residents in Hillsborough County. Every year, millions of couples face numerous challenges on their journey to parenthood. One of those challenges is infertility. According to the World Health Organization, about 48 million couples and 186 million individuals live with infertility globally, and it has an impact on their families and communities. The good news is that there is hope. The organization Resolve, the National Infertility Association, has been instrumental in helping people accomplish their dreams of building families. Its dedicated staff ensures that all people who are challenged in their family-building journey will reach resolution. The organization empowers them with knowledge, support from the community, unity through advocacy, and inspiration to act. It is my pleasure to present this proclamation declaring Infertility Awareness Week in Hillsborough County. And the proclamation reads, whereas, according to the CDC, 1 in 8 couples have trouble becoming pregnant or sustaining a pregnancy, and whereas the World Health Organization and American Medical Association define infertility as a disease, and whereas infertility affects women and men equally and does not discriminate based on race, religion, sexual orientation, marital status, or socioeconomic level, and whereas all people facing challenges in their family-building journey should have access to all family-building options, and whereas family-building options include adoption and medical treatment, such as in vitro fertilization and third-party reproduction, and whereas cost and lack of insurance coverage are barriers for many in Hillsborough County to access the family-building options that they need. And whereas raising awareness of infertility and the barriers faced by the family-building community is the first step to removing these obstacles, whereas Hillsborough County joins Resolve, the National Infertility Association, and dedicated volunteers, healthcare professionals, and members of the infertility and family-building community by participating in this initiative. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby declare April 24th to April 30th, 2022 as Infertility Awareness Week in Hillsborough County, and encourages residents and visitors to help organizations like Resolve to remove the stigmas and barriers that stand in the way of building families, empowering them to share their stories and find a community that cares, executed this 20th day of April 2022 and signed by all 7 county commissioners. So I'd like to invite you to say a few words at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Commissioner Cohen, on behalf of the over 50,000 residents of Hillsborough County that are currently experiencing challenges in building their family and Resolve. I'd like to thank you for your continued support of our resolution, as well as the entire Board of County Commissioners.
I too would like to thank the Board of Commissioners for recognizing next week as National Infertility Awareness Week. 1 in 8 individuals do experience infertility, which means that if you have not experienced it, you probably have someone in your sphere of influence or circle, be it a family member, a friend, who has experienced infertility. And so bringing recognition and support to this important endeavor is extremely grateful and gratifying to the board for recognizing it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen, and thank you to the entire Board of County Commissioners. As a person who is 1 in 8, removing shame from these conversations is critical so that everybody who wants to be a parent can have that right and responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think we're going to take a photograph, so let's go ahead and do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. And I will be presenting the next recognition. Ruth Bryson, I believe you're here. Great, thank you. Come on up. Ms. Bryson is the 2022 new president of the Tampa Bay Realtors. And thank you for joining us today. We're looking forward to this. April is the Fair Housing for All month. This recognition is even more significant this year, as so many are struggling to find housing. This special observance illustrates the importance of how individuals and families in need deserve equal access to housing without the fear of discrimination. Hillsborough County's Affordable Housing Services Department and its community partners, such as the Greater Tampa Realtors, are dedicated to ensuring that every person has a safe place to call home. Courtesy of the hard work by its volunteers and professional staff, the Greater Tampa Realtors has done an incredible job in providing exceptional service and valuable benefits to the community. It is with my pleasure that I will offer this proclamation to Ms. Bryson in recognition for Fair Housing Month. And with that, I will read the proclamation, which I believe is under here, which I will allow, if you will. Yeah, there you go. And I'll read the proclamation. It reads, whereas housing is critical for the health and stability of families and communities, ensuring that emotional and financial foundations for future generations. And whereas equal access to housing is an essential component of America's promise of individual liberty, equality, and freedom of choice. And whereas ongoing education, outreach, and monitoring are key to raising awareness for fair housing, principles, practices, rights, and responsibilities. And whereas barriers to fair housing can be removed through continued cooperation, commitment, support, and enforcement of national and state mandating equality for all housing transactions. And whereas Hillsborough County prohibits discrimination in housing and protects residents from such abuses through the Equal Opportunity Administrator and by working with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And whereas April 11th in 2022 marks the 54th anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, which fosters a national policy of fair housing for all who live within the United States. And whereas fair housing is integral to the ethical commitment of the members of the Greater Tampa Realtors, it is critical to the ability of all real estate professionals to serve their clients, customers, and communities. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby declare April 2022 as Fair Housing for All Month in Hillsborough County and encourages all agencies, institutions, and individuals to support the Fair Housing Act and its mission to ensure ethical practices and actions to protect all buyers and renters from seller and landlord discrimination. Executed this 20th day of April 2022. And Ms. Bryson, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to say a few words, and I'll hold that for you while you do.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
No problem. Commissioner Overman, members of Board of County Commissioners, Greater Tampa Realtors is honored by your proclamation and grateful for your recognition of this important issue. Greater Tampa Realtors, a professional association of more than 15,000 realtors, is committed to ensuring members understand, value, and apply the principles that ensure the American dream of home ownership is available to all. It is no secret that affordability is a challenge for buyers and renters. However, there is simply no excuse for anyone to face or tolerate discrimination when searching for a home. We promote fair housing for all because home ownership is a way to build generational wealth and strong communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I will offer just a couple of comments. And part of that is to also thank their commitment to supporting this board's action to take the Tenant Bill of Rights into the process when someone's renting a property. Our partnership with the realtors is critically important that you're aware of that as well, and working with our apartment complexes and our landlords that rental properties. So thank you so much for the work that you've done in this community. I also want to thank our Affordable Housing Social Services Department and our code enforcement that also work in team with you in order to make sure that when people are renting or finding a place to live, that they're moving to a safe and healthy shelter. Because it's such an important part of our overall economy. So thank you for your partnership. You've been a wonderful, wonderful partner in this process.
It's our honor to partner with you.
My pleasure, too. So with that, we'll do some photos. Would you like to join us? So you have some other folks in the audience
Jacob,
that will come up.
Front and center.
Jacob's been a terrific partner as well. He's always keeping us up to speed on the things that we need to know. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
And we'll come back here with take some photos. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Your partnership is so valuable. Thank you.
Collaboration is the key.
It's the key.
We
It
look
is.
forward to it.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and to all of the recipients today. I know that it takes a team and a group effort and a community effort to allow Hillsborough County to be the best place to live, work, and play in the state of Florida, for sure. So I'm very proud of all the work that we've been doing. With that, I'll turn over to Ms. Wise for changes to the agenda.
Thank you. We have one item. We had a scrivener's error in item 836. This is to accept the Criminal Justice Mental Health and Substance Abuse Reinvestment Grant Award. The correct amount is in the amount of $1,039,920. It was inadvertently incorrect in one spot. Item D1 at 10 a.m. is to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending the pole banners and rights-of-way ordinance. Item G1 at 10:15 is to receive a report regarding the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act as requested by Commissioner Overman. And 11:45 is a recess for lunch. Those are the changes to the agenda.
Oops. Excellent. Thank you very much. With that, we will move to public comment. No? No? We actually
Move to
approve the
approve.
changes? Move to the changes? Okay. And we have a motion by Commissioner Kemp and Myers and a second by Commissioner Cohen. Can you please take a roll call vote?
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White. Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Wise.
Thank you. Since we still have some time before our 10 o'clock time certain, we can move on to the regular agenda. Item B1, this is to approve the First Amendment with the Florida Department of Transportation regarding the Big Bend Road widening project. And this has been a project that we have been involved with for quite some time. With that, we're going to turn it over to Jim Hudak, Director for Capital Programs.
And the reason we're able to take on the regular agenda is because we had no one signed up for public comment this morning, so I'm going to skip my chair's statement since no one's here to say it to. So thank you, Ms. Wise.
I'm sorry, you did not approve the consent
agenda. And I think we're missing another piece. So do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kempis, second by Commissioner Myers. Can you please do a roll call vote?
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, we're on a roll. Let's go.
Now on to the item B1.
V1, please.
Jim Hudak.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Hudak, Capital Programs Department. Commissioners, for item B1, we're asking for your approval of the First Amendment to the FDOT locally funded agreement dated April 13, 2021 to reduce the county's contribution by $25 million from $93,447,501 to $68,447,501 for the Big Bend widening and I-75 interchange project. FDOT will refund the county $25 million within 40 calendar days of execution of this amendment. We are also asking for your approval today of an FY22 budget amendment resolution to appropriate $25 million for the build grant for the USDOT, from the USDOT for the reconstruction of the I-75 at Big Bend interchange. This budget amendment will add $25 million in grant funds to the Big Bend I-75 interchange improvement, which will increase the project from $82,983,891 to $107,983,891. This will be a temporary budget increase in the project due to the grant. The funds freed up by the grant will be brought back to the board for future reallocation consideration. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Cohen. I'd like to ask just a real quick question. So this is a federal grant, and the contribution that the county makes is basically the local match that's required by any federal grant that relates to transportation. Is that correct?
So for Commissioner, for this particular build grant, the $25 million build grant, there actually was no match required for this one, for this particular federal grant.
Okay.
The county does have a contribution that's currently at the 68. Now that following the execution of this will be at the $68 million. But this particular grant didn't necessarily need a local grant match for this one.
So as a general rule, that's an exception to the rule under the Build Act?
Honestly, Commissioner, I would have to check on that to see if that's more typical. I would have to find out if typically federal grants, and actually the consultant I'll be presenting later today will probably be able to provide some information on that actually.
Excellent. Thank you very much. But either way, we do have to contribute something. So that's good to know. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that. We'll have a motion and a second. Please take a roll call vote. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Just in response to your question, I'm certainly not an expert on this, but I think typically the 50% federal match and the 25% state match apply to transit, not to road projects, which are generally paid for instance, the interstate. We don't make any contributions to that. The FDOT projects bring in hundreds of millions, maybe billions in road building every year to Hillsborough County without any kind of local match.
Commissioner, oh, okay, somebody disappeared. Okay, great. Thank you very much. With that, we'll take a roll call vote.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The next two items are relating to the American Rescue Plan. The first item is related to county departments. Tom Fessler will take us through both items, B2 and B3. And first, we'll go through B2.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Fessler, Chief Financial Administrator. Item B2 today is related to an item that you had approved back in January 12, 2022. The board approved an American Rescue Plan Department program not to exceed $5 million. As part of that agenda item, we told the board that we would come back and present a list of projects once we went through a budget process with our departments. So today I'm bringing back a list of projects that totals $3,118,459. There basically are three projects that we're asking you to approve today. The first one would be for outdoor senior fitness equipment at various senior centers and adult daycare centers across the county. That would be for our senior program, our aging services program. The second project is asking the board to approve a $1.5 million contribution to the development of a $7.9 million Center for Applied Robotics at the University of South Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences Gulf Coast Research and Education Center. That's a mouthful. This project, or this center, will focus on artificial intelligence to overcome food production limitations such as labor shortages, labor costs, and other production costs. The final item that we're asking you to approve today has to do with improved cybersecurity for Hillsborough County, which is consistent with the American Rescue Plan.
Did we lose Mr. Fessler? Or is he done?
Well, we appear to have lost him. I do think he was pretty much done with that particular item. As Tom mentioned, the board approved the overall total amount, but we did say we would come back with each individual project. So this is the items for that.
I'll move approval.
Move approval by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Myers. Yeah, we still have a quorum. Okay. And with that, please do a roll call vote.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Excellent. Thank you for that dash. I appreciate that. With that, Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The next item is B3, and it does look like Mr. Fessler is back, and he will explain the community-based step-down facility. This is $4.5 million for those exiting the local county jail who suffer from substance abuse and behavioral health-related issues. Also, Mr. Gene Early is available if there's any questions as well.
Mr. Fessler, you're recognized. We cannot hear you, sir.
Tom, go ahead and check your audio settings. That's next to your mute button, the down arrow next to it. when you click that down arrow, another window instance will occur. In your microphone settings, in that drop-down menu, what do you have? Is there another microphone that you can use, or did it disconnect?
It looks like Jean Early is available as well. And perhaps if we can't get Tom on, we can have Mr. Early give this presentation.
I tried another setting. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear him now.
Okay. Yes, Commissioners, item B3 is asking the board to approve funding for a new community-based step-down facility capital project with American Rescue Plan Act funds. It's in the amount of $4.5 million. It's also asking you to approve a resolution amending the adopted fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 27 capital improvement program to add the new community-based step-down facility, and finally to approve a budget amendment to reduce American Rescue Plan Act reserves and to appropriate funds for the project. The funds will be used to renovate a county-owned facility that will offer comprehensive services to participants that are exiting the county jail who suffer from substance abuse and other behavioral-related issues. Local community providers, nonprofit providers, will be the ones that will be operating and resourcing the facility. The Public Safety Coordinating Council has provided a letter of support for the project. This project is one of the items or options that was included in your September 1 approved plan, investment plan for American Rescue Plan Act dollars. If this is approved, $221.9 million of $285.9 million in ARP funds will be committed to projects.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Fessler, would Mr. Early would like to add anything to the presentation?
Mr. Early, you're muted.
Dr.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very much in support of this. It's a wraparound services for all of the people stepping down into the community. It's going to include also some intensive counseling for them, and it's going to give them a place for about 30 to, I think it's 90 days, 60 to 90 days, to give them time to get trained and put them in a job, do all of those kind of things, plus get them on anything else they might need to be successful in the community. We're also looking to try to do some housing vouchers as well. So I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Move approval.
Move approval by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Myers. And I, as a member of the Public Safety Coordinating Council, there was identified a serious problem with recidivism of people that were in the system, and because the safety net wasn't as solid as was needed to help people be successful and moving back into society, this is another step towards building that safety net, allowing people to be successful and move on with their lives. So thank you very much. With that, please do a roll call vote. I'm seeing no other comments.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Do you want to, Ms. Wise, do you want to try one more?
Yes, thank you. The next item is item B4. This is a procurement for 5-year contracts for janitorial services. Scott Stromer, Director of Procurement Services, will go through this item.
Good morning, Scott Stromer, Procurement Services. Item B4 is asking the board to award 5-year contracts to the respective lowest and responsible bidders for ongoing and as-needed janitorial services at facilities throughout the county for the Facilities Management Department at a total cost of $27,646,647.71. Specifically, awards are recommended to Atlanta Building Maintenance Incorporated, doing business as American Facility Solutions Incorporated for groups 4, 6, and 7, and 8 at a little over $10 million, and C&W Facility Services Incorporated for groups 1, 2, 3, and 5 for a little over $16 million. Combined, the recommended firms will provide janitorial services in approximately 144 different facilities throughout the county. A disadvantaged business enterprise participation goal of 12% was established for the work, and the recommended vendors have all committed to achieving that goal. With that, Procurement Services does recommend approval.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stromer.
Move for approval.
Move approval by Commissioner Myers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cohen. Seeing no further comments, please take a roll call vote.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Ms. Wise,
Thank you.
got 30 seconds? Do you want to do the board appointments, or do you?
Yes, how about that? Let's do the board appointments.
Okay,
And that will
excellent.
take us through that. And Rick, I believe you're going to take the board through the appointments?
Yep.
Thank you.
Actually, there is no appointment. Public Library Board has 5 terms expiring on June 30th, but due to redistricting, they're asking for an extension to August 30th, and then they'll do them.
So you need a motion to extend?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have motions. Motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Myers and Cohen. With that, please take a roll call vote.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Excellent. Ms. Wise, we have our 10 o'clock.
I am stalling, and that'll give Cameron, you got up there way too quick.
You can run around the boardroom for a second.
We'll
too.
present it.
Okay.
Because it'll be
Well, the
10
clock up there says it's after 10 o'clock.
It sure
so
does.
I'm going to go with that.
It sure does. All right, so the next item is item D1. This is at 10 a.m., is to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending the pole banners and rights-of-way ordinance. Cameron Clark from the County Attorney's Office, it's a lot of C's in that, will present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cameron Clark, Assistant County Attorney.
Is your mic on? No, there you go. Excellent, thank you.
Okay. Cameron Clark, Assistant County Attorney. This item is, and I'll sum this up very briefly, the net effect of this change to the pole banners and rights-of-way ordinance is going to make the ordinance more accessible to more people by reducing the level of restrictions of the types and locations of pole banners that are allowed on state roads within the unincorporated county. I can provide any more information you like if you have any questions, but in case there aren't any, I'll just step back right now. This is a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe this was Commissioner Smith's item that you brought to the attention of the board. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, after your public comment.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, and so we would like to consider that there's public comment. However, no one signed up to speak to this item. So with that, I'll close the hearing and then open it up from Commissioner Smith's comments.
Thank you. And just to refresh everybody's memory, this came to me from some friends of mine in Ruskin who were trying to continue a historic habit, a historic tradition of putting up little decorations for the holidays on the street poles along Highway 41 through Ruskin's town center. They're very old decorations and very charming, as well as American flags with their little community parade that they hold on Veterans Day. And they were running into a whole lot of red tape. And so they reached out to me, and I said, in my naivete as a new county commissioner, well, my goodness, that'll be easy. And if we can't get holiday decorations and American flags up in the town center of Ruskin for these occasions, well, what good is it having a county commissioner who lives in Ruskin? But actually, that has taken quite a long time. It involved a land development code and the FDOT and more snags than we realized legally. But thanks to our county attorneys and a little bit of help with development services as well, we've been able to come up with a very simple fix that Mr. Cameron described of just keeping the county's red tape out of the way of the state's red tape. And we've meanwhile walked the local citizens through the state's red tape, so that will all, they'll be able to handle that. So I would very much like to move this item.
A second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, a second by Commissioners Cohen and Kemp. And I will say the siloing of our government sometimes is a real impediment to success. And this is a good example of bringing those silos down and having a conversation and getting it done. So thank you very much for bringing this forward and to the staff for making this possible. And with that, we'll have a roll call vote.
Overman?
Yes.
Cohen?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Ms. Wise, we're not at 10:15 yet, so.
We are not, so
we
we're
are
going to.
rapidly running through.
We are. We're going to go to item G2. This is to receive a report from Management and Budget regarding Hillsborough County Revenues, those that could be potentially suspended. That was requested by Commissioner Hagan, and Mr. Bricky is here to present this item.
Thank you very
Good
much.
morning.
Mr. Bricky, you're recognized.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. G2 is the item that the board asked be brought back. The board directed staff on March 23rd to bring back a staff report to present a matrix of taxes and fees that may be reasonably suspended to provide financial relief to the public during this time of higher inflation, housing costs, fuel costs, and other economic challenges. The table of revenue shown on page 2 of the report includes individual taxes levied by the board, as well as fees and charges for services and other revenues by broad types. The table serves to identify a specific tax or other revenue type that could be identified for further future consideration of its suitability for rate or charge reduction or suspension. If there are any revenues that would be identified for that, we would need to go back and conduct some further analysis to determine exactly its suitability and the path to suspend or change that revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. This item was brought forth due to a request from Commissioner Hagan. Commissioner Hagan, you recognized?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm going to keep my remarks brief. As I interpret the revenue chart staff prepared, unfortunately, it appears to me our options are very limited regarding potential tax relief the board can authorize at this time. Suspending our local option fuel tax may be our best option, but that requires legislative approval. During our last discussion, I included in my written agenda item a motion to include sending a letter to the governor and legislature requesting this issue be included in a future special session. I guess there was some confusion regarding the letter, in that while it was in the written motion and I referenced contacting the legislature in my comments, I did not specifically say that in my motion. Staff felt because of the confusion, the letter needed to come back at a future meeting for approval. We did not have that luxury because at least one special session was imminent, and I believe there have been discussions on potentially having another special session. While this request may be a long shot, the request needed to be made sooner rather than later. So I sent a letter on my personal letterhead, which I rarely do. However, this has been common practice for commissioners through the years. If my memory serves me correctly, it actually goes back to an issue Commissioner Ferlita had many, many years ago. At that time, the board indicated that a individual commissioner can correspond with the legislature, but they cannot speak on the board's behalf, and the request or the correspondence must be on personal letterhead, which I did. I do apologize for not copying the board. That was an oversight. Bonnie brought this to my attention during our briefing on Monday, and I believe my staff forwarded it on Monday or Tuesday. So you have the letter, but at this point, the way I interpret the revenue chart, I don't think there's any action that we can realistically take at this point. But I want to thank staff for the work in assembling this. I think it is helpful. I think it's an excellent chart and matrix that can help us in the future. And I think that's about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hagan. I had a real quick question. I did get a copy of your letter, and that was good to see that we've what you represented. And I did have a question for Mr. Bricky. In the report, it talked about the fuel tax, and I believe what we're talking about when it comes to local fuel option, it would be the $5,278,000 estimate adopted for 2022 that would not be available should that be an option that somehow that's possible. Is that correct? Am I correct in reading the chart? Under intergovernmental revenue?
The intergovernmental revenue ones are taxes that the state levies that are shared with local governments. The two fuel taxes that are levied by the board are the local option 6-cent fuel tax at the top of the chart and the 9-cent gas tax. So the other two under intergovernmental are levied by the state.
Excellent. That's very helpful. So, for example, the estimated 6-cent fuel tax amount would be over $27 million. The 9-cent gas tax would be over $7 million. And then if the state were to do something, the county fuel tax share from the state revenue, would that be the $5 million that's illustrated in your backup?
There are two state shared revenues that are based on state levied fuel taxes. One is the constitutional fuel tax for $12.1 million. And then the county fuel tax, which you referenced, is the one that's $5.3 million.
Okay, so if we were to do that for all of 22, those monies are used to do what? To resurface our roads?
The fuel taxes are largely committed to operating costs, which could include minor maintenance on the roads. It's also mowing of right-of-way and other operations like that. There are some fuel taxes that do go to repaving as well.
So that would be a significant amount that would not be available to actually working on our transportation infrastructure cost. Is that accurate?
Over a year's time, these fuel taxes and revenues are $34, $42, $47, $49 million. That's a significant amount, yes.
Okay, just curious. Because I do believe we have an infrastructure problem that needs to be addressed, and these revenues are a critically important part of our infrastructure costs. So I was just looking at what the impact would be should the state move forward on addressing the gas tax issue. That seems to be a common conversation. But thank you very, very much for the information. That was very helpful, and I appreciate getting the information. Thank you, Commissioner Hagan, for bringing that forward. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Just for the record, I'd like to point out that counties have the option to do a 5-cent, up to 5 cents gas tax, which the last time we discussed that locally, some 27 counties, all the biggest counties in the state, practically everyone up the west coast of Florida, and including Manatee, Polk, and Pasco, have that tax that they have passed at a local level. We have never done that. So we already have a discount compared to many of the counties around us that we don't have that option. We have never approved it at this board, supermajority vote. It's been brought up a few times, as I'm sure you remember, Commissioner Overman.
Yep, I've tried a couple times.
So I just wanted to point that out for the record. And certainly the inflation and gas costs that are happening are not due to taxes that are added on that are a de minimis part of the cost of your gallon, but it's really right at the base. Not even the gas stations or companies pumping gas are apparently making those profits, but the oil companies that generate, and the barrel of oil is what is inflating the cost of gas. So for the record, I'd just like to put that there out.
Thank you very much for those comments. Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
And one more point while we're talking about gas taxes, just to make it clearer for the record, as you say, because I think there's a little bit of misconception that the gas taxes are kind of like a sales tax and they go up with the cost of gas. That is not true. The gas tax is applied pennies per gallon, not percent of the final cost. So the gas tax revenue and however many pennies per gallon it is stays the same no matter how high or low the cost of gas goes. So I just want to make it clear for the public that their gas taxes have not gone up with the cost of gas. That stays the same, and our revenue stays the same no matter what the cost is. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Commissioner Cohen, you're recognized.
That's such an excellent point, Commissioner Smith. And let's also remember, efficiency is not rewarded through the gas tax either. So as vehicles become more efficient, the revenues actually go down.
And that's something to plan for the future, or take into consideration for the future. I don't see any other comments. So with that, we have the ability. Do we need a motion to accept the report? Or
You can.
yeah,
Either way.
Let's do a motion to.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Cohen, and we'll do a roll call vote.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ms. Wise.
Thank you. Our next item is item G1. This is to receive a report regarding the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, as requested by Commissioner Overman. Josh Bellotti is here, as well as a representative from HNTB.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think it's important for us to take a moment to understand why this is so very important. We'll be making some significant decisions moving forward over the next several years. And it's my understanding in history that the board has really been focused more on approaching state assistance when looking at our transportation and other infrastructure needs. That's been more of our method of operation. However, we have an unprecedented opportunity to acquire federal funds from the largest investment in infrastructure investment in our country that has ever been made, that was done on a bipartisan basis. So I think there's an opportunity here to really look at how we are poised to address resurfacing and repaving our roads, increasing the number of buses and routes, acquiring either other ways of people getting around, such as the Cross Bay Ferry, possibly to service our military folks from the South County to MacDill Air Force Base, which is a large employer in our community, more bicycle or alternative ways to get around. And so, more importantly, the grant money that's available at the federal level is very important for us to have a uniform front, but put forth an opportunity not only for road infrastructure, but also other utilities. And when I went up to the National Association of County Officers conference, what they recommended is for each of the counties to really identify how to coordinate the grant application process, since it covered so many areas of government services at the local level. So I'm very glad to see that we're going to take a look at what grant opportunities are there and begin the work program to take a look at how to go about acquiring those competitive grants on behalf of our residents here in Hillsborough County. And with that, I'll recognize our presenter.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Good morning. Josh Bellotti, Engineering and Operations Department. Thank you for the great intro there. This staff report is being provided in response to the board's request for a strategy for the county to take advantage of grant opportunities provided by the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This act, which was signed into law by President Biden in November, provides a total of $1.2 trillion in infrastructure grant opportunities over the next 5 years. Some of these dollars will be made available through the reauthorization of existing programs. Some will be through new programs whose rules and requirements have not yet been established. Since our staff are not experts in this field, we have engaged national consultant HNTB to provide their expertise and dig into this legislation, look at how the funds are expected to flow from the federal government through the state governments, through state DOTs in many cases for transportation, and down to local counties and local agencies. HNTB coordinated and met with a number of groups within the county, including Public Works, Utilities, Facilities, and Sunshine Line, and screened the infrastructure bill's programs to determine which ones have the potential for Hillsborough County to compete for. This report highlights that analysis, as well as provides a strategic approach for taking the next steps in pursuit of funding opportunities. And those steps will include looking closely at specific projects for the county, for example, in the CIP, and in the case of transportation, working closely together with the TPO, looking at projects on our tip list, and they'll look at the specific grant requirements to determine how the applications will be made and to whom, and things like matching fund requirements, which is also a key factor for consideration. The last point I'll make is that this is just the first step in the process. The rules and requirements of these grant opportunities are still being formulated, and so we want to be strategic in how we target specific projects and align with the right grant opportunities to give us the best chance for success. And so with that, I will turn it over to George Uy from HNTB to summarize the report.
Thank you, Josh, and good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Uy. I am with HNTB, supporting Hillsborough County and providing grant support services. So I'm here this morning to talk to you about how the county is leveraging the grant opportunities offered through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, so IIJA for short. So this is also referred to as a bipartisan infrastructure law. So in its entirety, the IIJA offers $1.2 trillion of federal grant opportunities. And so this marks the nation's largest investment on infrastructure. The bill takes the previous transportation bill, as Josh had said, known as the FAST Act bill, and adds $550 billion of additional new initiatives and investments in broadband, rail and transit, clean energy, and water, to name a few. So as we go through the research process on the individual grant opportunities, the White House published a guidebook, as you can see on to the right. And so this is to help provide any technical assistance and insight on the total dollars invested per program, as well as identify any eligible applicants, match requirements, and possible funding activities. And so with these investments, the White House identified 4 key pillars that you'll see on the bottom of the slide in front of you, beginning with Justice 40 initiative. And so this is an initiative that aims to direct 40% of the federal investments into disadvantaged communities. Then they also look to build sustainable and resilient infrastructure to withstand the impacts of climate change, improve interagency coordination among state, local, tribal, and other neighboring agencies, and also look to improve the overall safety and meeting Vision Zero goals, generating economic benefits like creating good, paying jobs and providing equal opportunities for all, reducing congestion, and enhancing resilience in overall infrastructure conditions. So going through the guidebook, we've shortlisted specific grant opportunities that would be applicable to the county's public works, utilities, facilities management, as well as Sunshine Line Department. The chart that you see in front of you summarizes the anticipated award total broken down by departments within the Hillsborough County region. Note that these calculations that you see in front of you are reflective of the Hillsborough County region, which would include all eligible applicants within the county boundary. And so this would include entities like City of Tampa, Temple Terrace, and Plant City. So you'll notice also in the chart that there are significantly more dollars anticipated for public works type projects, with approximately $230 million over a 5-year span to be awarded to the county region. So this is because the IIJA carries forward the initiatives from the previous transportation bill, from the FAST Act bill, and brings that forward into this the new federal bill. Additionally, the estimated match requirements for each department were also calculated, and so you'll see that in the last two columns there, with the county region estimated to with about $8.5 million required annually. So moving forward to the approach to leveraging the IIJA grant opportunities, we've created a four-step process beginning with the grant framework. And so with the grant framework, this entails identifying all the grant opportunities. And so on the chart before us, we kind of like went through and summarized all the different grant opportunities into a single table form. And so once we've identified the grant opportunities, we then move forward in setting up focus meetings. So in these focus meetings, we meet with each of the discipline groups to proactively screen and identify project candidates. And so the step would look through the priorities of the grant opportunities, identify innovative strategies like any technology deployment or project delivery improvements, and selecting projects that will provide the greatest benefit to cost ratio. Then once we've identified the project, we then transition to the grant planning stage. And so this is comprised of stakeholder engagement, engaging the community, and getting the support from local stakeholders in the community as a whole, identifying any pre-submission requirements like preparing permitting documents, concept development, and cost estimates. Additionally, this step will look to engage local and state leaders to gain their support of the project and also addressing any specific requirements of the grant. So once that's all complete, we take the first three processes and then combine it all into an application stage. So this is where we craft up the narrative, tell the story, and answer the question of why Hillsborough. And so with that said, while it may feel like a rush to kind of deliver all of these opportunities now, this process is a marathon and not a sprint. And so the IIJA grant opportunity spans over a 5-year period, with the grant opportunities re-advertising each year. So we are taking this approach now to leverage the federal dollars of the IIJA. And so with that, I will open up for any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that illustration. The report was very, very helpful. I noticed, you provided us with a list of the public works grant opportunities, for example, and gave us an idea at this point, because we still have to do a lot of work to get there. But, translating that on what's here, we could acquire maybe as much as $230 million to supplement on the public works side, to supplement our overall resources for infrastructure. So, I mean, as a start, it's a great process. And when we look at the long list of various different programs, what I'm not seeing in your estimate is, for example, the new Safe Streets and Roads for All program is available until expended. So, it's a new program, it's a competitive grant, and as you show in your slide on the screen, that there are annual match requirements in many of these grant applications. It'll be important for us to take a look at how we prioritize our transportation projects and then how these grants can be applied, given their different staging and interpretation and treasury rules and application process. And the one thing I did learn when I was in Washington was that the Department of Transportation and many of the departments that I oversee these types of grants have every intention of providing navigators to assist our consultant and our overall departments to really be able to be effective when we apply for these grants. And given our deficit, and to address much of our infrastructure, whether it be public works, utilities, or road structure, I'm very glad to see that Ms. Wise made the decision to really help us move forward on acquiring these grants. And I do want to say thank you to you for moving this process forward. I don't see any other comments or questions. I was looking to see. Actually, I'm sorry, I got to a point where I can't see Commissioner Hagan's hand if he had one up. But with that, we will accept the report.
So moved.
Moved from Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Cohen. And do a roll call vote, please.
Overman,
Yes.
Cohen,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Ms. Wise.
Thank you. The final item are future discussion items.
I'm not seeing anyone making a comment, but I would like to actually ask for, I'd like to get a report from the staff and Ms. Wise on any department budget requests pending for the ARP, the remaining ARP funds. Currently, we've approved an overall budget and allocation that was done last summer. Since then, we've discovered there's some areas of great urgency as a consequence of the impact, economic impact that's occurred in our county. So I'd like to get a short report from the departments to get a status on department requests for the remaining ARP resources in line with the needs of our current economic conditions. That are exacerbated by the disruption of our residents' lives, but also to help address the impact of our housing crisis that has been exacerbated by the issues and the impacts of the pandemic. We are doing great and everybody's moving here, but now we have a housing crisis. And so I'd like to bring it back to the board on the remaining projects that are in line for ARP to address the prioritization of what I believe is a housing crisis that we could possibly address with those decisions moving forward. So other than that, I don't have any other items. If you could bring that back before we approve any additional items, that would be, that are in line. I know we have several in the queue,
We do.
but we would love I'd like to address that as we move forward.
Yes.
Seeing no others, are we adjourned? It's 10:30.
Record breaking.
How's that even possible? Yeah, we'll be back at 6 p.m. this evening to address the surtax referendum. So thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.